which they were mandated to do by Bilderberg policies, specifically the EU Commission head Barroso, who, coined the term post-industrial revolution, and the green economy is part of that post-industrial revolution.
And it's designed to destroy your economy so you can't pay the bankers back, so they come in and take over. I mean, it's literally economic warfare in the words of the Club of Rome, of the UN, of the head of NASA, of the White House science czar. I mean, this is a group of control freaks engaging in economic siege, and they are carrying this operation out, and we must have Europe throw their behinds out of there.
Yeah, and it's an agenda to reduce living standards, which is what is happening in Europe as the taxes go up and the public services get cut. And it's being felt most painfully in Spain. You've got an unemployment rate in Spain of 18%, and that is a consequence of this green economy, because for every job created as part of the green economy, more than 2.2 jobs are lost. And in fact, a leaked internal document that came out of Spain a couple of weeks ago said that the rate of job loss is in fact worse than 2.2 jobs for everyone gained. So the report basically said if we don't get out of this post-industrial revolution, this green economy, we're going to face economic ruin. So that's what the Spanish political leaders are at Bilderberg to discuss, is how they can extricate themselves from this green economy, rescue their own economy, and in turn rescue the euro, which is what Bilderberg and the globalists in general need to do if confidence will remain in their agenda to create a global currency. Because if the euro goes, then a big part of their agenda to centralize the world economic system goes.
Separately, your report that's also in Press TV, the official organ of Tehran, that fits into this. More and more of the Arab nations and the Persians, the Iranians, are saying they're dumping the dollar right now and going to gold. And, of course, you notice gold's been up the last few days. Break that down for us.
Yeah, the Central Bank of Iran announced today that they were going to dump 45 billion euros and exchange it for gold bullion and dollars. And also Chinese state media reported that several Gulf states were going to do the same thing. Now, the major central banks are desperately still clinging to their euros because they're desperately trying to prevent its collapse. And this is evident with clear examples of manipulation in the forex market, which we saw yesterday when the euro was way down against the dollar, and within the space of 25 minutes it shot up by 250 pips on the forex market. So basically whenever the euro gets down to 121 against the dollar, the ECB comes in with an intervention and then it spikes right back up again. But normally that intervention would buoy the currency and it would last for days or weeks. But as we've seen today, with the euro flat or even down against the dollar, the last time I looked about an hour ago, it doesn't work anymore. Even though the central banks are intervening, investors and other countries like Iran and Gulf states are still aggressively dumping the euro because they've read the predictions of big financial houses like BNP Paribas, who say that the euro is going to parity against the dollar by next year. And of course, the dollar's going to soon follow in its footsteps.
When we come back, absolutely, when we come back, we're going to get your take from the Times of London. Greece urged to give up euro. The Greek government has been advised by British economists to leave the euro in default on its £300 billion debt to save its economy. The Center for Economics and Business Research, a London-based consultancy, has warned Greek ministers they will be unable to escape their debt trap without devaluing their currency to boost exports. And that's actually true. We'll be right back and get Watson's take on this. By the way, this video Skype is working so well from England. Really, Watson has great political understanding and research. That's why he's one of our chief writers and webmasters. I remember 8, 9 years ago when I hired him, watching some of the work he was doing and thinking it was first rate, and he's been part of the team for a long time. So now that we have this is a great video/audio connection to England. We may have to start having Watson sit in occasionally when I'm working on a film or out of town on assignment. Going back to Paul Watson in the 4.5 minutes we've got left before we go to Spain and talk about the Bilderberg group to the nearby city of Sitges, where the airspace has now been closed for the owners, the criminal owners of the planet, to nest and plan their next ripoff. We went to break, and we were talking about this headline: Greece urged to give up euro. So this thing is really falling apart quickly, Watson.
Yeah, and a lot of people in Greece said that that's exactly what they should do, but the leadership in Greece have been strong-armed by the globalists to not exit the euro because it would only worsen the crisis of confidence in the euro. So this is what Bilderberg 2010 is going to be all about. How do we save the euro? Because everybody's predicting that it's going to go to parity with the dollar. And every time the central banks try and intervene and push the euro back up again when it gets to that 121 level, it just sinks straight back down again the next day. So, I mean, the euro represents their entire agenda for a world currency. So if confidence is lost in the euro, then it proves that their claims that stability comes with unity are completely false. So it won't allow them to exploit the economic crisis which they created further to get their world government, which is what they've called for.
I want to go back to this article briefly. These little devils aren't gods. They're not in total control, but I think they're basically playing both sides because I remember Trilateral Commission documents from over 20 years ago where they were talking about building up a few competing global currencies and then letting them collapse to bring in the SDRs. So these little devils could have a method to their madness where they're claiming they don't want the euro to go belly up, but that's actually a way to save the dollar and then roll it into an SDR.
Well, yeah, if the crisis in confidence in fiat money became so bad, then they would then try to exploit that crisis for a global currency based on SDRs. But I don't see them doing that because from every indication they need to save the euro because it represents their entire agenda. But you're right, I mean, they created the economic crisis from the bubbles that they manufactured, but it seems to be out of control. And it seems that many, even inside the globalist circles, are concerned that the plunge happened too soon and too fast, and now it threatens to wipe out some of the wealth of even those who were somewhat prepared for it. But Bilderberg are talking about prolonging a financial recession for another year, but whether things are too far out of hand for them to adequately manage that situation remains to be seen. So that will be what comes out of Bilderberg this year. So we'll be watching for the different discussions that come out of the conference on that subject.
Well, I was reading U.S., well, at the time, colony newspaper articles. I have some books that are compendiums of newspaper articles and also captain's accounts. I was reading some naval accounts of Newfoundland and areas of the East Coast on the U.S., which was colonies at the time, being robbed by pirates. And it would describe a ship of, say, 18 guns with maybe 60 pirates on it, robbing a port with 2,000 sailors, 500 guns, huge ships. And they even knew that the pirate ship, in the case of this particular pirate captain, was coming. And they still just surrendered to them. And it's the same thing that we're doing today. We have this group of piratical New World Order people, and if we just get the will to say no to them and the will to see through their flim-flam of telling us there's no world government, the banks aren't robbing us, I mean, if we just stand up and wake up, we can brush them aside if we just decide to beat them. I mean, can 2,000 people in a town with hundreds of ships beat 60 people? Well, of course we can. I mean, it's just complete cowardice, Watson, and it's the same parallel today.
That's right. We're slowly starting to turn the tide and, getting anti-establishment candidates into office, and that's what they're afraid of.
Absolutely. All right, Watson, we'll talk to you again next week via video Skype. Joining us here on air. I'll be popping in at least once next week. We'll go to Bilderberg in Spain next, straight ahead. Infowars.com, prisonplanet.tv are the key websites.